Ars Libri is an everyman's journey, book by book, through Western literature. We read, retell, and reclaim our rich heritage. Be sure to subscribe to the show at arslibri.substack.com. Indian in the Cupboard. It was written by a lady named Lynn Reed Banks. She was alive from 1929 to 2024. She died last year.
Whoa.
She was a prolific author. The Indian in the Cupboard was published in 1980, but she wrote over 40 other books. Indian in the Cupboard launched into a series with 4 sequels. It was adapted into film in 1995 by Frank Oz. It sold millions of copies worldwide, and it's a childhood favorite, they say. Did you like it? That's great. What did you like about it?
Because the Indian kept on wanting things, and he was like, where do I get them? Where do I get them? Where do I get them?
Mm-hmm. The Indian wanted lots of things. He wanted fire. He wanted a horse. Mm-hmm. He wanted food. He wanted meat.
He wanted a wife.
A wife. And the way he said it was, get wife, now. The author, Banks, was born in London. She was the only child of a Scottish doctor and an Irish actress. During World War II, Banks was evacuated to Canada. She spent 5 years there, then returned to England. She was actually a trained actress and worked in theater for a while. She was one of Britain's first female TV news reporters in 1955. The first book she ever wrote was entitled The L-Shaped Room in 1960. The story was about an unmarried pregnant woman, and this reflected the shifting social attitudes. It was adapted into film. So she was extremely well connected in the film industry, the writing industry, the acting industry, and she wrote many books, including those about basically gender and marriage issues. In 1962, she moved to Israel. She lived on a kibbutz. Kibbutz?
What is that, Daddy?
A kibbutz is a communal settlement in Israel where people live together as one, kind of in common, and they have agriculture and other activities as their main economic production. So I guess like hippies, I'm not entirely sure without looking it up further. In Israel, Miss Banks taught English. She married a sculptor. His name was Chaim Stevenson. I can't do that. Chaim Stevenson.
Oh, you did good.
They had 3 sons. One was named Omri. One of their sons was named Omri. Omri is the main character in Indian in the Cupboard. They returned to England in 1971, and Banks would go on to write 40 books for children and adults, including a biographical fiction about the Bronte sisters and stories about her time in Israel.
That's one book about the Bronte?
No, stories, different books.
Gosh.
She wrote over 40 books about different subjects.
I was like, Bronte, Israel, hold on.
Right. Now, the Indian in the Cupboard actually has faced criticism from Native American groups because it supposedly perpetuates stereotypes about indigenous people. So, for instance, the Indian character in the book, he speaks in a certain way, broken English, and the Indians say, we don't speak broken English. But I think in the very early days, probably they did. Mm-hmm. But she is just using these old stereotypes. And she portrays the Indian as a savage who wants to hack things and shoot things and eat raw meat or almost raw meat, stuff like this. However, I would guess that for the first couple hundred years, in fact, you can look at stories of the Comanches in the late 1800s that are still essentially wild savages, absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's not just from cowboy movies and stuff that this comes. This is actual stories about how Indians function. It doesn't mean there wasn't honor among them and some forms of dignity, but not in the ways and the places we would expect to find them. They're in different places. In fact, in 1991, the American Indian Library Association titled her Indian in the Cupboard a book full of horrendous stereotypes to be avoided. So she actually, at the end of her book, I read at the end of the Indian in the Cupboard, there's a back section, and she talks about how she's sorry for perpetuating these stereotypes, and she actually traveled to Canada after this to meet with some of the tribe's leaders to talk with them. So she went through this struggle session with them or something to apologize, and she wrote several books afterward that supposedly, kind of like Orson Scott Card's or Dune or something, Frank Herbert, where they write the first book and it goes in a certain direction, and then they think, no, what am I doing? And then they write the follow-ups to kind of undo that.
Right.
Or to answer the problems that weren't resolved in the first one.
He spends all the rest of the books apologizing for what he did.
Yeah, essentially. Wow. Anyway, I think all that backstory is important because the book has some value systems in it that I want to talk about after we discuss the book itself. But let's get into the book itself. Can anybody tell me the story of the book quickly? What happens in the story?
Well, it starts out, it's Omri's birthday, and he gets this cupboard from his brother, and he gets a plastic Indian from his friend at school. And then he finds a key that fits it perfectly, and he puts the Indian in the cupboard, and then he locks the door and goes to bed. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night and he hears noises. And he thinks, oh, I'm just like dreaming or like seeing or like hearing sound or something. So he goes back to bed. And then in the morning, the sounds actually woke him up. And it turns out that there's actually the key makes the Indian come alive. It makes plastic things actually come to real, but not any other things.
Plastic things come real, and the Indian comes to life, and all of his clothing is now real as well, and all of his amenities and things that he had, accessories, they were all real suddenly. Yes. What else happens in the book?
He shows his friend Patrick the Indian, and then Patrick wants one, so they make a cowboy come alive.
They make a cowboy come alive for Patrick. That's right. And then some drama ensues between the Indian and the cowboy. Now you got cowboys and Indians, and I know those movies aren't popular anymore, but especially during the mid-1900s, cowboys and Indian movies were very popular, where you had basically a bunch of cowboys and a bunch of Indians, and they would fight each other. In some way, they would get together and fight each other. It was very popular because I think in the late 1800s was the last time that Indians and cowboys actually were fighting each other out on the frontier in the West. After the Civil War, there was a lot of unconquered territory west, Texas and west. And people felt like after we subdued the South, after the North subdued the South in the Civil War, then the North, particularly the North, could go out and subdue the West. And that's when they began moving west. The Army did it, and a bunch of cowboys. They're out there fighting all the natives who are living free. And that really ended in the 1890s, I think. That stopped in the 1890s. So Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote her stories, and they're from the late 1800s, living out there on the frontier where there's just not a lot of people. That was the last time it was really open. And then it closed in the sense of now the Indians are all conquered and rounded up on reservations, and they still live on them today. And so they're not wild anymore like you would read about in this book. They're not out there taking scalps and even living in teepees. They live in homes or mobile homes or something, apartments. And so in the 1900s, the 1950s, 60s, 70s, maybe even 40s, there were a lot of stories being told about that bygone age, about the Indians and the cowboys, the last time they were wild. And by wild, I mean free and not conquered. And that's what this story is talking about. One of the big things that happens in the book, a big theme in the book, is responsibility. The moment the toy goes from being a toy to being a human, it becomes serious. One thing I didn't expect about this book. So I was thinking the book was going to be the Indian turns into a real Indian, the plastic Indian turns into a real Indian, and then it's just a bunch of adventures with the Indian. We're going to go play, and we're going to do this and that, and he might get into trouble and Omri saves him, but that's not what happens. What happens is suddenly the Indian's real and he needs to eat. and it's a problem. And there's an entire chapter, or 2 or 3 chapters, dedicated to just solving that problem. And at first I thought, this is a disappointment, because I was expecting adventure. I was expecting excitement. Instead of he's having to sneak down to the kitchen and find food, a little bit of food, and it has to be raw meat because he wants to cook the raw meat. Now we have to make a fire in Omri's room. Well, where are you going to make a fire? You could light a match, but it lasts 5 seconds. So he has to make a fire that lasts long enough to cook a little bit of meat for this miniature Indian. It really is like a logic puzzle game suddenly, and I wasn't prepared for that. And at first it kind of put me off. But I think that was the point of the author of making this about responsibility. If you have this wild imagination, that's wonderful. It's imaginative, but it's not adventurous. To me, imagination is adventurous. I'm going to imagine that I'm going on this epic journey and I'm going to fight a dragon and then conquer. But this was, imagination goes immediately to, now you have to take care of this thing. And it's a human, and it has its own person. And it also had its own backstory. The Indian wasn't just suddenly alive out of the ether. He was actually from the 16 or 1700s, and he had a backstory. His dad was a chief. He was part of the Iroquois.
He had a wife, but his wife died, and so that's why he wants another wife.
He had a wife, and his wife died. And Omri, the main character, begins to realize this grave responsibility of taking care of another human being. And it is a grave responsibility. The Indian wants all kinds of things. He wants to go to school with him, but Omri can't bring him to school, and because people are going to find out, and then they're going to take him away, and he doesn't want that to happen. Where does he get the other cowboy? Where does he get the horse and the wife for him?
Patrick bought it for him. Patrick bought the cowboy before I think he knew that the Indian was alive.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Omri
he bought it for him.
was just kind of like hinting at it.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick,
Oh, that's right.
all right, and he got him
That's
the
right.
cowboy.
I remember because Patrick gave him the cowboy, or the Indian, and then Omri really began to like it when it came alive. He began to hint to Patrick, this is an amazing gift. I have to get home. I can't hang out after school because I have to play with the Indian. And Patrick's thinking, come on, man, it's just a little plastic toy. It's not that big a deal. He's like, no, it's great. I have to go. And then Patrick says, I want to come see. What's going on? And eventually he lets Patrick in on it. But he tries to keep it a secret from everybody. And that's one thing I did not like about the book, is that Omri lies to everybody about this secret. There is one good, really good turning point, and it's at the very end. Can anybody tell me what happens at the very end of the story?
He sets the Indian.
Well, before that, with the cowboy, when they were watching the film,
Oh, they start fighting,
they start fighting?
and they
Okay, they start fighting. Anybody else?
and the Indian. So they're watching the cowboy movies,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the cowboys and the Indians fighting
In the movie.
in the movie, and so much of the Indians keep on falling down, falling down, falling down,
Mm-hmm.
and
The cowboy, the live cowboy, is watching it and thinking, yes, woohoo! But the Indian's watching it and he's getting angry because he sees, this is the first movie they've ever watched, so they might think this is real what they're watching.
yeah. And so the cowboy, he shouts across to the Indian. He's like, too bad that all the Indians keep on falling down and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Indian shoots the cowboy.
With his bow and arrow. The Indian, Omri's Indian shoots Patrick's cowboy and hits him, and he slumps over in Patrick's pocket. That's where he was sitting. He slumps over. So he gets shot, and this is again is the sort of realism. I thought again the book was going to be more fantasy, but it was very realistic. Now, your little Indian, your little cowboy is shot and he's going to die. Patrick, 10-year-old Patrick, what do you do? And then they have to go and take care of him. And this is when I thought the morally good part of the book was this part, because Omri makes the Indian take care of the cowboy. And the cowboy, or the Indian, begins to show some remorse of what he did. And I don't remember all the exact details here. Correct me, fill me in here if you remember. But basically they take him, they stretch him out, they lay him down, they try to patch up the wound, but their hands are too big to do it, so the Indian has to do it. Has to basically save the life of the cowboy he just shot.
But the key is lost, so they can't like bring the doctor back when they did.
Yes.
They used a doctor.
Yeah, there was a medic from World War I, a World War I or II action figure that had a medic pouch. They would bring him to life when the Indian was injured early in the story. He showed up, and he was English. And so he showed up, and he had these stories like, I must be dreaming. We were just about to be bombed. So he's living, these little plastic figures are living their own lives in a different world. And they show up into your world. But they can't bring him back because Omri lost the key. Well, his brother took the key. His brother took the cupboard away from him. And then when he brought it back, the key was gone. He didn't know what happened to the key because his brother never noticed that there was a key. And now the key's gone. So they can't bring the medic back. The Indian has to basically make do as best as he can. And so he's sad and he's morose. And he's grieved about what he did, this wrong thing, which is kind of a critique, I guess, about those movies that they were watching. Like, this isn't funny. This isn't haha entertainment. It's real. It was real. And now you're just playing in a movie like it's entertainment. But they find the key and they bring the guy back and he heals him up a little bit. But it was a good part too, because after that happens, Omri suggested to the Indian that they become blood brothers, which was some kind of Indian ritual apparently where you cut yourself and you cut the other guy and you hold hands for a minute or two. And that way you signify that now you are one. You've shared blood together. And they do that. So it's this morally good reversal of some of the antagonisms that were going on before that. I thought that was a good part of the book. It was a part of the book where I became interested as an adult. I think maybe as a child you're interested in the whole thing because, wow, this Indian comes to life. That's interesting. But the last part to me was good because it turned at the very end. He got a wife too, though, before that.
Yeah.
What happened with her?
I forgot her name. Wasn't it like Shining Star or something?
Yeah, Shining Stars. Shining Stars.
And she helped the cowboy get better.
She helped too? Yeah, I think she did. In fact, she came to life while he was sick. Omri put her in the cupboard, turned the key, popped her out, and there she was. And she came and met Little Bear, the Indian, and then they held hands and she did something to help the cowboy come to life or heal up.
And in the very end, Omri, the boy, sets free Shining Stars and Little Bear and the cowboy. His name is Boone. He sets him free. But he told Little Bear to hold Shining Stars right with him or she probably won't go back to his land.
Yeah, so because they had real lives when they were plastic. When they go back to being plastic, they go back to their tribe or their real life in another world, another time. And so he wanted Shining Stars to be brought back with Little Bear and his horse. And so they all had to hold on together. And it was really cool, I thought, because they put the two Indians on the horse in the cupboard and they shut the door, or before they shut the door, the horse rears up and kind of neighs, and Little Bear says, "Now!" And Omri shuts the door and locks it, and then waits 10 seconds or something, and then opens it back up, and he's reared up with both of them on it. That's how they are in plastic now.
And I guess that's how they made their entrance back into their world.
Yeah, back.
That's neat.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
At the end, also, Little Bear makes Omri his blood brother too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He pricks his finger or something.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
Because it was like a farewell something, I don't know. Like he just, I guess, wanted to be blood brothers with Omri.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why he would like remember him?
Okay. I thought there wasn't much bonding between the two, though. Little Bear never seemed to be someone who bonded with others. So between him and Omri, whenever they became blood brothers at the end, I thought, Why? Well, they're not even really friends that much. It was almost like me taking care of a cat, and the cat doesn't care. No matter what I do, the cat does not care. If I stop feeding, if I feed it, it's just impersonal. That's how Little Bear was. He wasn't really personable. And then they became blood brothers. But becoming blood brothers with Boone, that made total sense because he shot him, and now he has to take care of him, and he did, and so did his wife, his new wife. And then to make good on the, hey, like, I'm genuinely sorry that I did this, let's become blood brothers. And the cowboy was really funny because he had this Texan accent, like, well, I never expected to be a blood brother of a cowboy or an Indian, and he talks like that the whole time. He was sick, he was wounded, and finally he heals up and he wakes up and goes, where's the food and the whiskey? That's all he talks about the whole time. Food, whiskey, his hat, and his horse.
Yeah.
That's all he wants.
And the party, the ceremony, the wedding ceremony, and the blood making or the blood brother ceremony thing.
He said it's not going to be a ceremony without my whiskey.
Yeah.
He needed whiskey.
So funny.
Yeah, in fact, that's how they healed him when he was sick. They just gave him lots of whiskey. And it was more than that, too. They gave him, the doctor came and gave him penicillin, and they were like, penicillin, what's that? That's after your time, Boone, just lay back down. But he needed a whiskey. That was what it was that healed him. And as long as they gave him whiskey, but that was another thing. It kind of tinges the story. How did Omri get the whiskey? He had to lie.
And steal.
He had to take from his parents and lie about what he was doing. And it's one episode after another with that. Like, he goes to the store, for instance, to buy the woman to become the Indian's wife. And he brings the Indian with him to pick one out. So he's got this little action figure with him, so to speak. And he goes and buys the woman Indian, and he walks out of the store. He puts the real Indian back in his pocket. And the storekeeper comes out and says, what do you got? And he's like, nothing. And suddenly there's just this ugly interaction between an adult and a lying child. And the child can't show, this is the thing, you cannot show the real Indian. So you will do any immoral deed, any lie, any treachery, any deceit required. And it's just this, I saw you steal that, like, I would never do, and they're just, I would actually warn people. So one of the reasons I'm not going to buy the second book for y'all to read is the book did not have a good moral universe. So it's okay for there in stories to be lies or sins of certain sorts, so long as those are portrayed as lies, as bad. But in this book, Omri tries to keep the secret from everybody, and he lies. And he lies, and he lies, and he lies, and the book portrays it as something that's good. It's no problem for him to be lying to everybody. He lies to his mom, he lies to his dad, he lies to Patrick, he lies to his brothers, he lies to his teacher, his principal, his classmates. He lies to the guy at the store. He buys more toys from the store to turn them into real beings. And he justifies it and says things like, well, I can't let them see it, so I have to lie. And the book never censors this. He never, his lies never find him out. He never repents of his lies. At least I don't remember him repenting of his lies or feeling sorry for it. He justifies it, and the book justifies it, really. It's presented, and I was thinking, my first thought when I read this was, there's no way a Christian wrote this, because he just lies freely. I mean, left, right, and center, it's lies, lies, lies the whole way down. When he goes to get the food for the man, the Indian, right away, he goes down and his mom's cooking, and she says, come on out of the kitchen now. He says, oh, and he starts fibbing. He starts lying. I'm just did it. And she says, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. He lie, and he sneaks away. And it's like that with everyone all the time. So I don't mind there being lies in stories so long as they are presented as not good. But this is presented as a way to get by in life. You have to get by and move around and do things in life, and you just lie to make that happen. The story basically is Omri has a secret life apart from his parents. And in order to keep it secret, he lies. And I don't like that at all.
Yeah, that's the thing that doesn't sit easy with me, is the idea that his room is his sanctuary and that no one else is allowed in it, that his parents don't know what's happening in there, that it's this own place belonging to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants there in his room.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. Like, that's not what your room is for.
Well,
especially as a child. That's
what I was saying earlier about this book not being written by someone who is a Christian. And it was also written by someone who lived in the mid-1900s, where the way that people parented their children back then was to let them alone and treat them as sovereign individuals. Mm-hmm. So your room is your house. Yeah. The child has his or her own life with kids at school, and I know nothing about it. And that's private to you, and I'm not going to ever talk to you about things, especially particular adult things, because that's for you to figure out and not for me to tell you. Whereas the way we raise our children today has changed. I think the whole millennial generation has changed, where it's more hands-on, it's more involved, and we're all living together in our own kibbutz instead of going to Israel for a kibbutz. But we don't do that. We don't live like that. And it's not just that I don't like the lies. The lies are wrong. Another thing that I think is something to warn parents about and potential readers is there's a lot of, because of that sort of selfish, sovereign space and individual, there's a lot of fighting in the book. Omri fights with Patrick, he fights with his principal, he fights with his teacher, he fights with students, he fights with his brothers, he argues with his parents, he fights with the Indian and the cowboy fight. Like, I don't mean just a little bit of like fighting, I mean almost every interaction between them is not one of camaraderie and mutual partnership doing something together. It's of them arguing, dispute, coming close to blows. And it's sort of, I don't want to use the word dysfunctional, but I don't see any healthy, very, very, very little healthy cooperative interaction between the people.
It almost seems like it's a me against the world.
Well, it's sort of like, it's mine, give it back. Nuh-uh, you took it first. Mm-hmm. I hate you. Shut up. It's that throughout the entire book. And they don't really, there's sort of these half-hearted apologies, like, come on, let's work together. But it's not, I'm sorry, I did wrong. If you read, for instance, C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, whenever they have a dispute, Edmund betrays his brother and sisters, he comes back and owns up. Mm-hmm. And he has this face-to-face with Aslan, and he has to confess and repent, and it's this proper way of coming back and restoring a relationship, whereas in this one, again, it's not Christian. Mm-hmm. And by not saying not Christian, I mean the moral universe in which this was written is some kind of other moral universe. And that's why I read some of the beginning matter there for this lady's background, like where's she coming from? I don't know if she was a feminist or not. I don't know if she was a Jew or not. I don't know where she is. But she has this colorful background, let's say, that puts her somewhere different. And it is also mid-1900s where the early generations before the boomers, I think she was pre-boomer, but they basically raised their kids in a sort of hands-off, run out in the streets, do what you want. I'm not really in charge. The school system is in charge of you. You're going to figure it out on your own. And yeah.
Okay, that's really helpful, your idea of saying that it was written in a different moral universe. Mm-hmm. Because as a child, like I remember reading this book as a child, and it was great. You know, I'm thinking, oh wow, this is so interesting, but I do remember being confused. Mm-hmm. As thinking like, oh, is this allowed? You know, you as a kid, as a child, you don't realize that not everything that is put in front of you is from the same moral universe as you.
Right.
And you don't know how to identify that.
Right.
And put your finger on it and think, oh, maybe this isn't how I should behave.
Right.
So this is a really good warning. And kind of sad because I did enjoy the book as a child, but I didn't realize all these things.
It's enjoyable in ways that children, I think, would enjoy it more than adults. So when I read it, I was thinking, sorry, but I was thinking, I'm not buying the second book to this for you. In fact, I was thinking, I don't want to finish reading it. Mm. But it is imaginative and interesting in the story itself. Mm-hmm. It is. But the moral universe in which all this happens is a foreign one. And I don't want to live there. And I think that's one key element that Tolkien talked about for fairy stories. And this is a fairy story. I mean, you have magic, you have enchantment, essentially. And it happens, and it's crazy and weird, and what do we do? How's this working? but it's happening. But one of the key elements that Tolkien talked about for the fairy world is desire. You want to be there. You want to be in that moral world. And for this one, I don't want to be there. There's that sort of ugliness in the story, throughout the story. That happens with the principal, the teacher, his parents, his brothers, his friend, over and over and over. I just wish that wasn't there, because otherwise it's a decent story. But I would put it at the decent level. You know, the decent, good, the great. I would put it decent. And I'll be honest with you, when I read the book, I was wanting to take it off the list. But because it's a beloved classic by okay, I don't know who all these, we just say that it's beloved, but who beloves it? Right?
Well, I think once it's been made into a movie,
Yeah.
that can really solidify its rank.
Well, it makes me wonder, though, how connected she was being involved
Right.
with all these media productions, that it was going to be a beloved story before.
We had no say in that.
Right, right. It's beloved. And if you don't beloved it, you're untutored, you're uneducated, you can't.
Right.
Well, it was decent. The excitement, the imagination was great. I personally wish it would have went in a more adventurous direction rather than a more logistical, like very, very practical problem-solving direction, which it did. It was like a little bit of imagination, but a lot of realism. A lot of realism.
I think that's what keeps the children interested as they read it. There's always danger right around the corner, or the chance of getting in trouble, which for a child is very real. It's like you could almost every minute of the day, it's like, I'm about to get in trouble. And you really feel that when you read the book. Like there's always a discovery around the corner.
Right. But again, how does he get out of trouble? Lie.
Right.
Lie, deceit, trickery, steal, stealth. Don't be seen by parents. Like you basically have to avoid, like a mouse avoids cats, the children avoid the parents.
Yeah.
And you're sneaking around the whole time. I will say that, by the way, what's the mouse, Stuart Little?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that. Basically this imaginative world, but very realistic. You can't be seen. You can't be touched by the parents, by the adults. The adults can't know. Don't ever tell them. We have to hide from them. Take me to school with you, little boy, but don't show me to anyone or we might be found out. And we have to be stealthily and sneaky and maybe tell a fib to avoid what's happening.
Is that like Ralph S. Mouse?
Ralph S. Mouse?
That's the one.
Okay, not Stuart Little. Ralph S. Mouse.
Stuart Little, I think, is just the last one. He just wandered around.
Okay. Yep. Or the movie Ratatouille. I don't know.
He lives in the chef hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ben and Me, where this mouse lives in the hat and he gives advice to the human, but nobody can know. Don't tell anyone. It's the same sort of plot pattern where you have this fantastical, imaginative creature. Only one human knows and only one human can know, or the whole thing will fall apart. So we have to be sneaky and trickery. But Ben and Me, there's no lies. At least I don't remember there being anywhere. It's just through circumstance, we never have to lie. But we don't ever even consider it either. We don't have a backup plan of lies and deceit for our parents. So that one, it's funny, and same thing with Ratatouille and Ralph S. Mouse, from what I remember. It's sneaky, but this one is every time there's a problem. So it's a decent book, it's imaginative, but there's some caveats to it.